Once a quantum computer reaches the threshold, it will already be too late to protect the data that was stolen years earlier. Okay, I want you to picture a scenario for a second. It feels a bit like the cold open of a heist movie.
Oh, I like this.
A burglar breaks into a high-security vault. They get past the alarms, the lasers, the whole 9 yards. They get to the prize, this massive, impenetrable titanium safe.
Oh.
But here's the twist.
Okay.
They don't try to crack it. They don't have the drills. They don't have the explosives.
So they're stuck. Game over.
You would think so. But they don't leave empty-handed. They haul the entire safe out, throw it in a truck, dump it in their basement, and just leave it for 10 years.
That sounds like a terrible heist movie. What's the payoff?
That's the thing. They know something the bank doesn't. They know that in 10 years, they'll be able to buy a laser at the local hardware store that slices through that titanium like butter. They aren't stealing the money. They're stealing the potential to access the money.
It's a terrifying analogy because it removes the safety net of current technology. And unfortunately, this isn't a movie script. This is the reality of what cybersecurity experts are calling harvest now, decrypt later.
That is the topic for today's deep dive. We are looking at a strategic report called Why Preparing Your Organization for Quantum Computing Can't Wait. And we're pulling from some heavy hitters here: legal insights from Nixon Peabody, security strategy from Palo Alto Networks, and some really good technical stuff from Cloudflare.
Right.
And the mission today is to answer a pretty simple question. Why should I care about a computer that doesn't really exist yet?
And if you're listening and you think quantum computing is just a problem for scientists in lab coats or, something for the distant future, you really need to stick with us.
Yeah.
Because the main takeaway here is that we don't need to wait for a supercomputer to be built to be at risk. The danger isn't about better math in the future. It's about better habits today.
So let's unpack this. We hear quantum computing all the time.
Yeah.
And I think for most of us, myself included, you just picture a really, really fast laptop. Like it can finally run Crisis at max settings, right?
Right.
But it's more than that, isn't it?
It's fundamental. I mean, it's not just a faster chip. Saying a quantum computer is a faster version of a normal one is like saying a light bulb is just a faster candle. It changes the actual rules of physics we use for computation.
Okay.
The source material puts it perfectly. It promises to solve problems in hours that would take our most powerful classical computers decades.
Decades versus hours, that's a massive jump. But help me understand the how. Why is it so much faster?
Okay, let's use an analogy. A classical computer, the one you're using right now, is like a mouse in a maze. It's looking for cheese.
Right.
The mouse runs down one path, hits a wall, runs back, tries another. It's very, very fast, but it has to try every single path one by one. That's linear.
Okay, I'm with you. A mouse in a maze.
Now, a quantum computer works on the principles of quantum mechanics, things like superposition. So instead of sending a mouse in, imagine you just pour water into the maze.
The water goes everywhere at once.
Exactly. It explores every single path simultaneously. It finds the cheese almost instantly because it doesn't have to choose.
Okay, that's a cool visual. But why is water in a maze a threat to my bank account?
Because of how we lock all our digital doors. Our entire digital world, your bank, your email, state secrets, that little lock icon in your browser, it all relies on public key encryption. Things like RSA.
Which is basically just a math problem, right?
It's a specific kind of math problem. It relies on the fact that multiplying two huge prime numbers together is easy.
Sure.
But taking the result and finding those original two numbers factoring is incredibly, incredibly hard.
So the lock is just that the math is too hard to solve in a human lifetime.
Precisely. If you tried to break RSA encryption with a normal supercomputer, or mouse in the maze, it would take millions of years. It's statistically impossible. But a quantum computer,
The water in the maze.
the water in the maze is specifically terrifyingly good at factoring prime numbers.
So the moment the computer comes online, the math breaks.
The lock opens, all of them.
Okay, but here's the counter argument I always hear. I'm the skeptic today.
Go for it.
But we don't have those computers yet. It's the Q-Day argument. We can just wait until Q-Day, the day the machine actually works, and then we'll worry about it. Why panic now?
And that is the Q-Day fallacy. That is the trap. The reports we looked at make this incredibly clear. The risk clock doesn't start when the machine goes live.
When does it start?
It starts the moment an attacker decides to steal the data.
And this brings us right back to that heist strategy. Harvest now, decrypt later. HNDL.
Hmm.
Let's walk through the life cycle of this threat because the source material maps it out step by step.
It's a 5-step process, and it's chillingly simple. Step 1 is harvest. Attackers intercept encrypted traffic, or they steal encrypted files right now. Today.
Even though they can't read it yet,
Yeah.
to them it's just scrambled gibberish.
Right, which leads to step 2, store. They take that ciphertext, the unreadable data, and they just hold on to it. They put it on servers and they wait.
Which is step 3, wait.
Yes, they wait for quantum capability to mature. They are literally betting on the progress of science. And then comes step 4, decrypt. Once the tech is ready, they feed that 10-year-old data into the quantum computer, and pop, it unlocks.
And finally, step 5, exploit. They use the data.
Fraud, intellectual property theft, identity misuse, whatever was in that box is now theirs.
Jamie Cook from Nixon Peabody has a quote in the source that really struck me.
What's that?
He said, "In many instances, malicious actors are already capturing data, specifically in anticipation of these future systems."
Specifically in anticipation. That's the scary part. It's premeditated. This isn't just accidental hoarding, it's a strategic investment by cybercriminals.
They're building a library of secrets they can't read yet.
It is. And it forces us all to ask a very uncomfortable question.
Which brings us to the shelf life of secrets. This was the part of the deep dive where I started mentally cataloging my own hard drive.
Right.
Because I usually think, if I'm hacked, I'll just change my password. Problem solved.
But you can't change your history.
Exactly. The report mentions a 10 to 30-year rule. Walk us through that.
It's a framework for risk. You have to ask yourself, does this data need to be secret in 10 years? If you're sending a grocery list, who cares if someone decrypts it in 2035?
Right.
If I steal your credit card number today, in 10 years it's useless. You've got a new card. That's low risk.
But if you steal my medical records?
That's high risk. Healthcare is a huge target. Your genetic markers for cancer don't change. Your mental health history doesn't expire. If an insurer or an employer in 2035 gets your 2025 health data, that is actionable intelligence they can use against you.
It's a lifetime secret.
It is. The Nixon Peabody source also pointed out something fascinating about aggregating data. It's not just about one big secret.
It's the mosaic effect, right?
Exactly. Maybe they harvest your unencrypted emails today. Boring stuff, lunch at noon. But in 10 years, they decrypt your encrypted performance reviews. They combine that with your location data. Suddenly, they aren't just reading files. They're building a profile for blackmail or manipulation.
And this has to hit R&D specifically hard.
Yeah.
I imagine if you're a pharma company developing a new drug.
Oh, it's catastrophic. Imagine spending billions on a new molecule. You plan to file the patent in 2030, but a competitor harvested your research data in 2025 and decrypted it in 2029.
They beat you to the patent office.
Or they just flood the market with a generic. The secret was the value.
The source material puts this so clearly. Once a quantum computer reaches the threshold, it will already be too late to protect the data that was stolen years earlier.
That's the mic drop moment, isn't it? You can't patch a breach that happened 10 years ago. The data is gone. The safe was stolen from the vault.
So if the safe is already being targeted, we need a better lock, and we need to stop the burglars. The sources lay out a 2-track solution. Let's start with track 1, the math.
This is the cryptography migration. If the old locks, like RSA, are going to break, we need new locks. And this is what's called PQC post-quantum cryptography.
Right.
These are new mathematical standards designed specifically to resist quantum attacks.
So the sky is falling. The math is breaking. The obvious solution, and the one I jumped to, is, okay, let's just use better math. Why don't we just patch the servers and call it a day? Just swap the locks.
I really wish it were that simple. This is where we run into the concept of cryptographic sprawl.
Sprawl. That sounds messy. It sounds like urban planning gone wrong.
It's worse. Imagine trying to change every light bulb in a skyscraper. Easy. Just get a ladder.
Tedious, but doable.
But now imagine half those light bulbs are sealed inside the drywall. Some are hardwired into the foundation. Some are inside the elevator mechanics. And you didn't build the skyscraper, and the guy who did retired 20 years ago and didn't leave any blueprints.
That sounds like a nightmare.
That is the state of modern IT. Encryption isn't just a setting in a menu. It's hard-coded into legacy apps from the 90s. It's baked into third-party libraries you don't control. It's in the firmware of your smart thermostat.
So the first step isn't fix it, it's find it.
Exactly. The source lists a 5-step readiness plan, and step 1 is discover. You have to find out where all the cryptography sits in your organization. Just mapping the building, this phase alone can take years.
Step 2 is prioritize. You can't fix everything at once, so you identify that long-lived data we talked about, what matters most.
Then step 3 is pilot. You test the new P2C solutions in a controlled environment. You don't just roll this out to the whole company on a Tuesday and hope email still works.
And step 4 is hybrid.
This is crucial. We're in a transition period. So you run hybrid programs, classic crypto plus PQC as the standards mature. You essentially put 2 locks on the door, the old one we know works today and the new one for the future.
And finally, step 5, sustain. Stay vigilant. Be crypto-agile, because the threats will keep changing.
It's a massive, massive undertaking. This is infrastructure renovation, not a software update.
Which brings us to the aha
Yeah.
moment of this whole deep dive. This is the part that really clicks for me. Because rewriting your entire code base to change the math takes years, maybe. But the source argues there is something you can do today to stop HNDL.
This is solution track 2. Stop the harvest.
The logic is just undeniable. Attackers can't decrypt later what they never captured.
Exactly. If you can prevent the theft of the encrypted data in the first place, it doesn't matter how powerful their computer is in 2030.
They don't have the file.
They don't have the file. They can't eat if you starve them.
So quantum readiness isn't just about math.
No. And this is the reframe. Quantum readiness is actually an argument for better current security, specifically endpoint and session security.
Volkerrath from Cloudflare brings up a really specific threat here. Session keys. Can we break that down? Because session key sounds like, tech jargon.
Sure. Think of it like a wristband at a nightclub. When you log into your bank, you verify your ID. The bank then gives you a session key. That's the wristband. It proves you're allowed to be there for the next hour, so you don't have to re-enter your password for every single click.
And that key, that wristband, is encrypted.
It is. But if an attacker is recording all your traffic harvesting it, they capture that encrypted session key along with everything else.
I see the problem. In 10 years, the quantum computer breaks the encryption on the key.
And once they have the key, they can replay the entire session. They can see everything you did, every transfer, every message. They can literally watch a movie of your banking session from a decade ago.
So the defense is, don't let them steal the wristband in the first place.
Or make sure the wristband expires faster. Or make sure that even with the wristband, they can't get in. Rath points out that if attackers get a private session key in the future, they unlock the past. So protecting the session today is quantum defense.
So what are the tactical steps? The source lists some immediate actions that organizations can take right now.
And these will sound familiar to security pros, but the context makes them so urgent. First, phishing-resistant authentication. You have to stop credential theft.
Because if they phish my credentials, they don't even need a quantum computer.
Exactly. If they can log in as you, the encryption is irrelevant. They're inside the house. They can just download the files. So using things like hardware keys or passkeys is actually a defense against a quantum attack.
Okay. What else?
Protections around shared workstations. And third, and this is a big one, controls that verify user presence. You need to protect the session, not just the login.
Right. Just because someone logged in 10 minutes ago, is it still them?
Is it still them? Are they suddenly exfiltrating a ton of data? It really emphasizes that basic hygiene access control, verifying identity, is your first line of defense against this futuristic super weapon.
And limiting lateral movement. Don't let them wander around the network looking for the crown jewels to harvest.
That's it. If you lock down the perimeter and you lock down the internal doors, you minimize what they can actually harvest. You reduce the size of the safe they can steal.
It's the two-track approach.
Yes. You cannot choose. You have to do both. Track 1, plan the long-term crypto migration because eventually the locks will break. But track 2, harden access control today to starve the attackers of data.
If you only focus on the math, they'll just steal the data while you're busy upgrading the algorithms.
Exactly.
It's interesting because it turns this massive, futuristic, kind of overwhelming problem into a very tangible to-do list for today.
It does.
It stops being about quantum physics and starts being about good IT management.
It grounds it. It takes the sci-fi out of it and puts it back into the realm of risk management.
So let's bring this all together. We've covered a lot. We've got the HNDL threat harvest now, decrypt later. We've got the 10 to 30-year shelf life of secrets. And we've got this two-track solution. Migrate the crypto, but lock down the perimeter now.
If I had to summarize it, I'd say this. Quantum computing is often framed as a future problem, but because of data hoarding, it creates a present-day risk.
That's the key. It's a present-day risk.
And that leads to the false choice the report warns against. Organizations think, do we focus on future threats or immediate threats like ransomware? The answer is, fighting HNDL requires fixing the immediate threats. By stopping phishing and locking down access, you're actively fighting the quantum threat.
It's a win-win. You get better security today, and you sleep better knowing you're ready for tomorrow.
Exactly. You're fixing the roof while the sun is shining, so you're ready for the storm.
I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to chew on. The source calls quantum computing a planning catalyst. It scares people into action. But here is a provocative question to ask yourself, or maybe your IT director, the next time you're sending a file.
Let's hear it.
If everything you send over the internet today was read by your biggest competitor in 5 years, would you still send it the same way?
That is a very sobering question. It really forces you to think about the durability of your words.
It really changes how you look at that send button. It's not just about getting the file there. It's about where that file might end up a decade from now.
And who might be holding the key to read it?
Well, on that slightly terrifying but hopefully motivating note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive.
Stay safe out there and keep those keys close.
Thanks for listening and stay curious. Catch you next time.